Hey everyone, welcome back to Evony with Genghis. So last night there was a developer call. I was fortunate enough to be in it. The link to the live stream is in the description to this video, as is my Discord if you want to join. Anyways, let's get to it. I'll go to review of it and let you guys know what I thought about it, what was discussed. And I'll try and go quick here because it was an hour and a half video kind of, and no point having a recap of it that's almost as long. So it starts out with Quinlan, and he's the new moderator instead of Elena. And the format for this, just so people who are like, a lot of people complained and said we didn't let him answer questions. That's not the format here. And he doesn't want to answer questions, and he's not there, and he'll just say no or say I don't know, or I'll get back to you a lot. The whole point of this is it's Evony asking questions to players. And for the most part, they're trying to figure out how to monetize the game, what does work, doesn't work financially for them, and that sort of stuff. So lots of people in my chat were asking like, hey, ask them about Wonder 3, ask them about this. Like that's been done already. Evony's made Wonder 3 easier. They've made it top 200 per continent 3-4 times a year now instead of top 100 in all of Evony. They've also made it permanently top 200 in all of Evony. I know it's the same players all the time, but this is something that Evony obviously feels is very important to make you spend and work really hard to obtain. So C1 versus C5 in here, buff and power. Lots of complaints from C5 players basically saying like, hey, C1, you guys have advantages, you have more generals, you have, more power. And then C1, C2 players were like, yeah, we've been playing for 5-6 years, like we should. You shouldn't get everything overnight. But that's how Evony gears their stuff, right? They are constantly they understand that new players don't want to wait forever and they lose interest, so they have to give them stuff. So the whole reason that came up was Evony asked questions like, what do you think about the Senate? And new players were saying, well, we don't even have generals to fill the Senate, so we can't even use it. But Senate's one of those weird things where initially it's really good for C1 and 2 because we have lots of generals, but C5 and C4, who are coining more right now, are going to get the ones who have ascended generals to put in there. Gold Academy, they asked, what do you think about the new Academy? People said we need more gold. We get into that more with Vikings later on. People said they need more tactic scrolls. Maybe you could change the research factory into producing tactic scrolls as well. I'm not sure how much Evony likes that feedback on that sort of stuff because Tactic Scrolls is one of those things that Evony hides in packs behind a paywall, so not sure if they'll really be allowing that. Dragon talent cap increase. This was super interesting to me. I don't think anyone else really picked up on it, but that was a question that Quinlan asked, has anybody maxed their new dragon talents? And to me, that means they're ready to do something new to dragons, like dragon gear or ascend the dragons, amplify them, something, because they always want you to be building something, right? I know a couple months ago, I knew they were going to increase dragons. Why? Because I was about to max all my dragons, and I'm a mid coiner, low coiner, and they don't want that. They want you always working on something, because if I'm about to max them, that means all the big coiners have maxed it, and they don't really have a reason to spend. So I think that will come soon. He asked about new gear upgrades. I think people kind of didn't understand him because I think he was asking about the new Achaemenidae and Ares gears upgrades where you go here and you can upgrade to this stuff, right? And people were saying it's not enough, it's not worth it. So to upgrade this from 40, like you look at the range defense 30, range attack 30, to upgrade it just to 4%, it's not worth it. But to me, I think it is actually really good if you're only doing it for debuffs. So you go up 8% in the debuffs. That's actually really huge. Multiply that by like 10 subs, that's 80%. Do the extra 3% on the 6 out of 6 buff. So, you're getting upwards of 200% more debuff on like range attack and things like that. So I think that's actually really good, but people didn't like that the refines didn't go up with it. But I think refines are just never going to match civilization gear. So they're already at 25 versus 30. I don't know. But then people use this opportunity to talk about the game's expensive and you're supposed to pay a couple $1,000s a month just to get civilization gear. And without it, you can't, and you should drop it in monsters. He didn't seem to care. It wasn't talked about too much. Monster strength, Vikings. People basically said, hey, for the extra wounded we're getting on these new monsters, it's just not worth it. Like, the rewards aren't there. You have to increase the rewards on those bosses. In the past, Evony has done that. They've increased rewards on Hydras and some other bosses. So let's see if they will do that. For me personally, these new monsters on the map, it's not about the rewards being too much better. It's just that there's actually more monsters. Like, there's less fighting on server because the map's just full of monsters at all times, which is good. But it would be nice if they had more rewards or weren't quite so tough. Quinlan basically said, hey, finish your academy and the bosses won't hurt. Fair point. These bosses were just released. Like, I remember a couple years ago, very few players could kill a B-15 without losses. So I guess he's kind of right. It takes time to build up, but they make it hard to build up. Alts, pink gems, IP addresses. Evony discussed plans to get the resource sellers. So this was actually like one of the first times I spoke. Most people in my chat were like, hey, why aren't you speaking? Why aren't you adding stuff? And it's just like, everybody was saying the same stuff and stuff that I agreed with. So there's no reason for me to talk and say, hey, I agree with him and take up another 30 seconds. Just let them move on to the next topic. But at Alts, I wanted to talk and basically say, hey, you're discouraging a large part of your player base. And if you allow people to grow faster, they'll pay money to get the science and all the other stuff that you need, because you can't just be a 10 billion player with crappy buffs and get slaughtered. So it'll motivate people to upgrade the rest of their city. We asked how they differentiate between resource sellers, which is who they want to target, versus people in an alliance who are like, hey, we need a bigger war hall. Let's all give resources to this one player and let him build it. Why are you punishing those teammates? And he said IP addresses. That's how we're figuring it out. It seems like he said same IP address means cheating. Where we were trying to tell him different IP address means cheating, because it means there's someone in Vietnam selling to someone in America. Like, that's what you need to be looking for. He said they're discussing plans and experimenting a trial procedure to catch resource sellers instead of players, because they are understanding that it's really making the player base unhappy. So I don't know, maybe it's open season on alts again. Who knows? Guess we'll see. But it looks like they're going to try and target resource sellers more than alts. Stamina. People really asked for more ways to get stamina in the game, and yeah, it's horrendous right now. Like, I'm just eating through stamina. And people complained that stamina pack was taken away on Monster Day, and he admitted it was done to fight resource selling. So, but it's not working. So whether they'll adjust or not. All-Star, he wanted to know about lag. People talked about staggering All-Stars, like why do Major League and Elite or just C1, 2, 3, 4 have to play at the same time? Why not spread it out? I was going to suggest, but I just didn't, because I don't think that this would solve a problem really. But I wanted them to shut the game down for players on All-Stars. So if you're not in All-Stars, when you log in, all you can do is view All-Stars. You can't play, you can't rally monsters, you can't do anything. Maybe that would take pressure off the servers, I don't know. But basically what you would see is like this, serverless, but it would just be different battles, and you can choose which one you want to go and view. I don't know if that would help or not. I ultimately just didn't want to waste time on suggesting that, so I just left it. He wanted to know about new events. How's the Alliance Duel? People said, yeah, we like the rewards. We also like that it's passive. It's not an active event where you have to log in and play nonstop. Exploration event. People were like, this is garbage. This is the one where you click boxes and sometimes you get really lucky and you get a compass that spins around and then you get all the rewards and then you get to do it again. Yeah, and so it sounds like they're going to get rid of that. He seemed like, okay, I understand you don't like this. And then he wanted to know, because in the chat you could type on the side or you could ask questions verbally. And he said, someone wrote Ideal Land sucks. So then they discussed that, and basically people said like, yeah, I didn't sign up for a war game to go and do this, like to go and build some a new city inside my city. And people are basically using Ideal Land just to write things like Evony sucks or F you Evony. Then people tried to press him on more chats. Like, could we have these monthly or every 2 months? And could you get a diverse group of players? Could you tell us who the players are beforehand, so the players could maybe go in with a game plan before? That's never going to happen. Evony doesn't want the players to be organized in their chats. But one of the things I really did like about this call, I felt that there was only 3 or 4 players who were talking. I don't know if people were like me, where they were thinking, these guys are doing a good job in representing my thoughts, so I don't have to talk. Or maybe sometimes people are just intimidated, don't want to talk in that situation. I don't know. But it was good because it moved along really smoothly, and some people were like, hey, next topic. And lots of the people from past calls who do like to talk a lot weren't there. And also Elena wasn't there. And I think Quinlan was a very big improvement. I think that, because it seems like he actually plays the game. It seemed like you ask Elena questions about the game, she has no idea what you're talking about. It's almost like she has to ask someone beside her, because her screen's blank, so you can't see who's sitting beside her, but it's like she's asking someone a question. What are they talking about? Where Quinlan, I actually wanted to ask him what servers he plays on, because it really seemed like he plays this game and understands it a lot. So that was my thoughts on the developer chat. Take a look at it in the description to the video. The link is there, and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on it. Hopefully we get more of these in the future, and hopefully they actually address something. They will send out in the Facebook group, they do a Excel sheet, and they'll put like green, red, yellow. So green is we're going to implement this, yellow it's in progress, red we do not care what you think about this subject and we're not changing anything. So it is always interesting to see those. So I'll let you guys know when that comes out. He said it will be out in about a week. So like, subscribe, leave a comment.